I never wanted you, Hector. You sicken me. Do you understand? The moment you came out of me, I knew you were wrong.
The words that you say matter, especially when you're young and developing your sense of self, who you are. It's really damaging when those that care for us say things, and sometimes we just say things out of fear or anger and because we're upset. One negative comment can leave a lasting effect, can leave a scar, can be something that we'll remember forever. Now, for Hector, it seems like this was just the norm. This wasn't an errant one-time mistake or something that was said out of anger. This seems to be something that she actually believed.
Alchemy is for money and power, boy. Money and power and buying our safety are all that matters. Stop whining about cruelty.
And at the beginning of our development, how we develop our self-esteem starts off from the reflection back of those around us. And when we're young, the most important people are our parents. That changes how we see ourselves. Hector sees himself as wrong, as something that was damaged. And so because of that, this becomes his plight, to fix the things that are damaged, because he sees in them what no one else does, just like what happened to him. I love Hector's humanity, how much he cares. Hector's able to see beauty in things that other people can't. And I think that that's something that binds him and Isaac. People that have gone through pain and hardship can often see the world in a different way than other people do. They don't take things for granted because they've been through what happens to people when they're discarded or not thought of or not really appreciated. And so because of that, being appreciated is so much more precious. So sometimes because of trauma and damage and difficulties that we've gone through, we're much more appreciative of people that are genuine and kind.
Hector?
People judge other people because of their actions, because of what they did. Whereas what's really important is the reasoning behind your actions. What was the intent? What was the thought process underneath it? A lot of times when we talk or people gossip, they're kind of just looking at what the end result is and not really going into what is the mind frame of what happened and why. It makes things much more complex, which makes things much more difficult to make decisions about. So I understand why sometimes we jump to conclusions, and sometimes I think that it's cathartic for people to just jump on a bandwagon and judge what someone's actions were. But I think that when you really take a look at a much deeper level, it's why we do things that matters more than what we did. And for Hector, even though he's creating these undead creatures, it's out of love and care and companionship to have something that he's taken that other people discarded and made something beautiful with it and given it another chance. And I think that that's also a piece that he sees in himself, that he was wrong and discarded.
The humans you live apart from, they killed my wife.
I am so sorry.
He feels so deeply. He can feel Vlad's pain and what he went through, and it's not just lip service. You can tell from all of his micro expressions and his body language, he understands him better and the reasonings behind his action. He's judging him by his intent, not just what he wants to do.
They must be stopped cold.
My fellow humans have never treated me with love. But I wouldn't have them suffer like any animal. I think the world would be poorer with their extinction.
For Hector, that the paradox is that even though he's agreeing to this, he actually has a lot of empathy and care and doesn't want people to suffer, even though he's gone through so much suffering because he's different and people have ostracized him. People that have gone through a lot of bullying and trauma, you'd often think that that means that they're going to want to inflict harm and bullying upon others, but that's not always the case. Often, because you've been hurt and damaged, even if someone's hurt you, you don't want them to go through the same thing that you have because you fully understand what that pain has caused, and you feel pain when other people feel pain. So also it's because you'd hurt more feeling guilty or bad because of it.
I would just see to it that they couldn't harm anyone else.
then that is how it shall be.
And also, for Hector, he's not the hand that's going through this genocide. He's creating a secondary creature, which means that he's one part removed. When we deal with something, having, say, hand-to-hand combat or having to hurt something that you are directly involved in, you see, you watch, you feel, it's much more traumatic on our system than something that you are pressing a button or sending something out there or seeing something through only text or information. So first-hand accounts of something is much more difficult for us to deal with than something that we are actually twice removed. And so for Hector, he's creating creatures that are doing this. He's not there himself. And I don't think that Hector would have a very easy time of being there himself to be able to do it because of the amount of empathy and pain he would feel, at least at this stage of who he is.
I would have no concern over that if conditions were merciful. Controlled population, making sure they cannot harm anyone else. Yes.
So Hector wants this for the greater good. He wants to have humans be able to be controlled so that they can't hurt other people, animals, creatures, or other humans. I think that for Hector, he's a little bit more naive. He believes Dracula at face value because I think that he was emotionally stunted. I think that that made him a little bit more naive. And that can happen to us when we've gone through a lot of emotional trauma. It kind of stunts our growth at that level because we're so busy processing in some cases and sometimes just blocking out the difficulty that we were dealing with. And because of that, we stop developing at that point.
You are loyal to Dracula in the Night World, aren't you? You would have protected her.
Of course I would have.
Carmilla's brilliant. She tries all of these different ways to see which way in does Hector react to, which is her best plan of attack to help pull Hector over to his side. And that protecting so that someone doesn't suffer, have bad things happen, especially when you love them, is that one where he actually physically reacts to. When we care about something, we'll move in, our eyes will open wider, we're more engaged. When someone's just kind of stone-faced, that means that it didn't really matter to them, or they're exceptionally good at controlling their emotions. But micro-expressions are much more difficult to control because most of them are unconscious.
Of course you would.
She's so brilliant because now she's like, of course you would. Like, she's now starting to kind of preen him. She's found the thing that he cares about. It's not a weakness, but she's using this to be able to manipulate him and to be able to have him look at Dracula as different than he is, which he didn't see it before. But once we look at someone as different, it's much easier for us to be able to pull away from them.
But on some level, he considers us less important than the brief life of a mistreated pet. Does that sound sane to you?
Words, mistreated pet, that's one, what he's felt like, and two, that's what he takes care of. The misfortunate, the damaged pets and creatures. And one of his most favorite creatures are these dogs that he resurrects and takes care of them and gives them a second chance. Her wording is very specific.
I just want to do my work, Carmilla. I love my work.
I know you do.
She's so perfectly manipulative. The way her tone is now has become motherly and affectionate. I don't think that it's an oversight that for Isaac, he has father issues, and so Dracula is the person that he aligns himself with. And for Hector, he's dealt with all of this neglect and abandonment and being considered a mistake from his mother. Carmilla is the person that he aligns himself with. These are the wounds that they each carry, and so Carmilla finds this way of being affectionate and loving and appreciative of the work that he does, and uses that need and want to be able to manipulate him. In a lot of ways, Carmilla is grooming him over to her side, saying that I love and appreciate you and see you as who you are, when truly what it is that she's manipulating him and doesn't care at all as long as he serves her purpose. I think that for a lot of us, especially when we've been neglected or abandoned or hurt, we're so wanting of someone to truly see us, appreciate us, and validate us. Sometimes we can find someone that will use that need and instead of having the best of intentions, have a malintent. Now, what we want to do, the real way that we heal this is to actually, and I know this doesn't really feel as good, but it's to give ourselves the things that we need from others, because you don't actually want to receive it from someone else because then they can take it away. And two, it doesn't actually heal that wound. It becomes this endless well of water being filled in, but there's a hole at the bottom, and so it never really sits. If you deal with it yourself, affirm, validate, no, I won't say that it feels as good as someone else doing it, but it's truly healing because you always have that. If your voice inside of your head is caring and loving and you're doing a good job of reparenting yourself, it really can heal that wound and inoculate you against the manipulation of others.
You can spend so long in a castle that you can forget how the sun feels. Don't you think?
I like the castle.
There's something really nice about Hector being able to see all of these really simple things that other people will often miss.
I see the vampires as cats. They are pure creatures.
Cats play with their food all the time.
True. But it's not malicious. There's joy in it.
That is what Hector thinks about the vampires, is that they don't act in malice. They act in what is their best interest, simple needs such as hunger and thirst. And I think that that's why Carmilla's manipulation kind of made it past Hector. He didn't really see the level of vindictiveness that's beneath it because of his own naivety of her reasonings for things. He sees it as much more pure, much more animalistic.
The cats need herding, Isaac.
That's a good way to get your eyes clawed out, Hector.
Dracula gave us the task of creating a war plan. But between his generals and their fighting, and his own attitude...
Do you think that Hector is trying to manipulate Isaac and really understands the gravity of what Carmilla is doing? I actually don't. I think that he believes that she wants to do something that's for the greater good. She doesn't want to wipe out humanity, and because he knows that Dracula has lied to him, he no longer trusts him. And so he thinks that she's going to do something that's going to actually be able to go through the plan of what Dracula had promised him in the first place. For the greater good, I think that he's being honest with his intentions here, and that's why Isaac doesn't notice that this plan is actually going to lead to them being betrayed.
What do you say?
It would get the war room pointed in the same direction. It would even make Godbrand smile.
Don't talk me out of it.
And what a sweet moment that they both share together, that they have this kinship even though they're not that close. They're such different people, but there's certain characteristics that they both share. And I think that that's really sweet that they're kind of chuckling and making fun about Godbrand. Or Godbrand. Oh well.
Isaac agreed.
That's very good. Hector, you are a marvel.
And she still knows to feed him these compliments of appreciating what he does. Even for the best of us, getting a genuine compliment in the area that we want to see it, that little area that we're like, please put the compliment in this type of an area, really does feed us. It makes us feel good. We want more. And that positive affirmation gives us this flow of dopamine that makes us want to please that person so they give us more compliments. And for those of us that are more caretakers, this is the thing that drives us. That's the fuel.
A quick, orderly, and merciful war.
Just as you wished, Hector. You have caused this to happen. Be proud. I admire your resolve.
You see how she's really manipulating him? And this is what he had hoped for, that people aren't going to have to suffer. And so because of that, that's why he's going through with this. This motherly figure to him, he's now following blindly like he did with Dracula. He's been so hurt by his own mom that to have Carmilla be appreciative and validating and recognizing all of the things that he did, to say that you are valuable and special and cared about, that's what feeds him and feeds that hurt that he carries inside of him. Sometimes our brain lies to us and we believe people even when we know we shouldn't. And we're so effective at lying to ourselves.
I thought you wanted me to believe you respected me.
Now you're implicated, so I didn't need to. You're hip deep in this now, puppy.
And you see that shock? Hector had no clue that this was coming. He truly believed everything that Carmilla said, even though he knew that it was more effusive than genuine. That's who he is inside of himself. He has so much empathy and care that he can't really understand someone that would cold-heartedly manipulate someone to just get what they want. For Carmilla, the ends justify the means, and she's absolutely brilliant on it. Probably deserves her own video.
You're coming with me.
Why?
You made your choice, Hector. You betrayed the old man. My God.
I really don't think that Isaac had a full grasp of everything that he was doing. I do think that in a lot of ways, he went through this kind of naively and innocently, not thinking through how far his plans were going, that Dracula would see this as a betrayal. I think that he believed, because it was easier for him to believe, that Dracula would be happy that they were going to be able to have a merciful war, because for Dracula, he just wanted a cull, actually an eradication of the human species, and he was providing that. So I don't think that he actually saw this as a full betrayal until this moment right now. It was kind of shocking to me that at this stage, he still didn't know what he had actually done, but that's so so often we're inside of the fishbowl. It's so easy from the outside to be able to make judgments, or make judgments when we already know what were the things that were happening. But often, especially when there's a lot of different variables and there's a lot of emotional content, you're just doing the best you can, one step at a time.
You're mine now, Forge Master. You have nothing left but me.
If creating hordes of undead creatures is something that you enjoy, you may want to try out today's sponsor, World Anvil. Now, I love my dice, but there's so many other things that I have to manage, and often my papers are all over the place, and it's really difficult to find what I should have where, or read my notes because I have horrible handwriting. But you don't have to worry about any of that with World Anvil. World Anvil is the one website to rule them all and keep them safe. As someone who's battled with cave trolls in dungeons, run in the shadows, hammered wars, and basically played RPGs all my life, today's sponsor, World Anvil, is so incredibly perfect. Whether you're game mastering, game planning, writing, doing any kind of world building, World Anvil has you covered with 25 amazing article templates so you can create wiki-style presentations, interactive maps, and chronicles with interactive timelines so you can literally map out events across time and space. If you're playing D&D like me, World Anvil supports 5th edition plus 45 other RPG games, and you can create your own worlds, so you can really bring your campaigns to life. Whether you're dealing with Dracula or dealing with any other evil minion, World Anvil will make it easy as pie. Basically, you get the best tools to help you write, organize, enjoy, and even publish rich settings with complex characters. Write, world build, manage your story all in a single platform. The world building is fun even if you're not making a module. It's a cornucopia of every RPG player's dreams. You can sign up completely for free, and because you're watching this video, you can try out World Anvil for a limited time. You get 40% off an annual membership using the code Georgia Dow. Just click on the link in the description and use the code Georgia Dow. Clicking on that link really does help out this channel, so thank you. And so does clicking on the next set of videos for the psychology of your favorite games and shows. Hope to see you there. So I don't really think that Hector had the intent to fully betray Dracula, that he was choosing a side against him, but I don't think that it's that black and white. So you can let me know in the comments below if you think that he had full intent to betray Dracula or not. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.